Live. All right, how about now? Yes, no, maybe so. Hello, hello. Nothing. Hello. Oh, there we go. I heard him. Okay. Excellent. um. Okay. All right. Let's get cooking now. All right. Now we can get back to business. All right. Thank you very much. Sorry, there's probably a slight delay in the feed in the stream as well. So, you guys are probably saying yes, 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 and I was already had it fixed. So, okay. So today's a big day. I haven't shipped it out yet. I'll show you the last thing I'm trying to get nailed before I ship out. Okay. And I actually don't have I didn't even have time to compile like the big list. Okay. But there is so much in this update. Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling actually. And to be honest, while there are some nice big features, like there is just a lot of little things that make this the biggest update ever. It really is the biggest update. I chugged out a lot of code. I've worked a lot of hours to get this out. And so without further ado, let's just jump in. I know you guys are probably anxious. Hold on, let me get my cursor ready so that you guys can get that, because I know you guys like to see the cursor. Man, if you could see my desk, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 coffee cups. Kind of give you an idea of how much I've been caffeinating myself. Okay, sweet. Let's go ahead and okay. Please let me know you guys can still hear me when I shared my screen. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. Let's go ahead and I'm actually gonna also gonna bring up the little these actually. Let's just reveal that in Finder. And let's just open that with, yeah, let's open it with IE Writer. There we go. All right. All right. This is the list as of, I don't know, about a week ago. Okay. And sound is back. Good. Thank you. When I switched camera angles, it switches the audio and yeah. Oh, also another thing, while we're talking about technical difficulties, I mean, what spurred me tweaking my audio was, I know sometimes during my past live streams, my audio was kind of going up and down a little bit. And I switched the inputs on my Focusrite, okay, my audio interface, and Wirecast was looking at the interface number 1. I needed interface number 2. So hopefully that was kind of the crux of the problem, and hopefully the audio fluctuations will stop as well. That would be nice. Okay. It is really hot today. I'm gonna go turn on my little fan right here. 1 second. Okay. Let's do. All right. Total CMS 3. Okay. Huge monster update. Maybe we'll do this here. Let's do like a left And we'll do this. We'll do, oh, this one can't do that. No, it's all good. All right, we'll just do that. All right. All right, I'm just I'm gonna go through this list. Some things I'm going to skip over a little bit. Like for example, I know on last week's live stream, I reviewed a lot of the SVG stuff. While I've tweaked it and made it a little bit better since then, I'm not going to review all that again. That was literally like an SVG masterclass. And there are some SVG related features in this update that I showed last week. I'm not going to dive into that today. Okay. So yeah. And some of these other things, while they're cool things, there are a lot of these features aren't necessarily something to show, just to let you know that they're there. Okay. So let's start off with custom collection labels. Oh, that's actually a really cool one. Okay, that's really fun. So we are in our collection. Okay, and let's go to my blog. Okay, and okay, guys, if you guys can see this, I'm not going to wait because there seems like there's some sort of delay from the stream. So I'm just gonna get straight to the punchline. If we look at a different collection, I'm going to go into this collection here, okay, or even colors, or actually let's go to date. Okay, we'll go to date. You'll notice that when we're in this view, everything in the total CMS infrastructure or in the dashboard follows the naming convention of, you know, collections, schemas, and objects and properties, right? Those are kind of the things that we use within total CMS. That makes up the total CMS data model, okay? However, having like objects here and add a new object when this is really a date, right? Okay, so let's go to blog. And we'll notice now inside my blog collection, it no longer says new object, it says new post, right? Very exciting, okay? And over here it says posts. Right here it says filter posts, right? If I click on this little doodad here, we have duplicate post, delete post, right? So all of these are, and I think in here, it's not changed any, there's nothing to change there, right? But a minor thing, but it really makes a huge, I think, difference, especially if you're giving this to an end user, right, to your customers, because it really makes it a lot more user-friendly, right? Because they're like, new object, what's that, right? But they understand what new post is, right? It's even nicer for us, right? Okay, so it's super easy. If you just go into the edit collection here, okay, you will notice that there is now 2 new settings, one for singular and plural labels. Okay, so plural label is posts, and for blog, I have it set to post. Okay, so that way, and I give plural and singular because there are some words that necessarily you can't just add an S to the end, right? So we give you both plural and singular versions of what an object is for this particular collection. Okay, and just to show you inside color, I even misspelled it for everybody in the world that spells color wrong. So if you like to call them colors, then here you go. You can actually, you know, add a new color here instead of a color, right? So there's that. Okay, and again, if we look into edit collection, you can just change the plural and singular versions of that particular label. So yeah, a minor change, relatively minor. It wasn't a difficult thing to add, but I think it makes the usability a lot nicer, right? Really, really nice. Hey, while we're in collections, there's a few other things that we've done. They're somewhere in this list, but don't worry, I kind of remember some of the changes I've done. Okay. So let's go to a list that has a lot of things. Okay. First, we'll notice that this collection view by default now is 50. Okay. Before it was 25. So now we have 50 items or 50 objects that show up. But we can configure that as well, right? So if we go into the settings for Total CMS, this is a site-wide setting. Okay. We have a dashboard table pagination, and you can set it to be whatever value you like. Now, if you actually set it to be 0, okay, in the tooltip, it tells you there, if you set it to 0, and let's save that. Now let's go back to my collection. Let's go to blog since that has a lot. Oh no, what happened? Oh, this could be a caching thing. Interesting. Let's clear. We'll get into this. Everything you're seeing here. Ignore what you just saw behind the curtain. Okay. It was a caching thing. Okay. So yeah, maybe I'll have to tweak it so whenever you save the settings, the caching changes. Various things like that. We'll have to make sure that we clear cache. Okay. So there we go. I've saved that. And now we have infinite scrolling, right? There is no pagination. Basically, I've disabled it because inside of settings here, I've gone ahead and set that to be 0. But we can set it to be whatever we want. Let's go ahead and save. And I bet you if I go back to this, I have to clear the cache again. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and here, we're going to clear cache, and we're going to say clear cache. And then we're going to go back to our blog, and we're not going to ignore it. We're going to ignore everything you saw there for right now. And we're going to go here, and we have pagination again. Okay. Cool. Good thing I didn't ship this. That's a pretty easy fix for me, but yeah, definitely something we want to make sure we clear. Okay, excellent. What else? I feel there was another thing. Oh, inside collections. If we go into export, okay. Really nice. Now we have the ability to export an entire collection as a zip file, which is crazy cool. Okay, so if I just click this export to zip now, okay, it downloads this bad boy, and let's go ahead and open that zip file. And if we look at the contents, it contains, this was the blog, so it contains every blog post and every image and file related to that collection. Super cool, all in one convenient zip file. I mean, that's pretty cool how fast that was too, right? So awesome stuff there. Okay, so export to zip, super useful. This is great for backing up. In the future, if you wanted to maybe automate a backup of something and you wanted to download, it is automatable. Okay, so you could just hit the API. This is exposed to the API, so you can hit that and download the zip to a particular collection automatically, which is nice. Okay, let's see. Let's see if there were anything else in here. Factory site map. I think that was it for this one. For collections. I guess one thing I haven't done it yet. Shoot. Okay. One thing I will go into. I'll dive into this. I haven't updated the layout of this yet. Okay. But if you notice, blog. Okay. And all forms, they're just all one kind of layer, right? They're just one column. And every form sits on top of each other. And that's okay. I mean, blog, it's not horrible for a blog. But it is possible. Like I've seen collections. Let's look at like this stamps collection from Mr. Bird in here. And you know, this could really use a little bit of layout, right? So I've built it. I think it's pretty cool. It still uses the auto builder, right? So let's have a look at it. And we're going to look at a simple example. Okay. I'm not going to do a complex form like this right now. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Okay. So if we look at this custom collection here, you'll notice that in here I have the ID field goes all the way across, and then I have a date, and then next to it I have a drop down, okay, and then I have a tags field, and then I have my buttons. Pretty cool, right? How do we do that? So there is a new that was in the custom collection, okay? Inside schemas, there is a new setting inside your schema. And it is this form grid layout. And the way this is built is, if you're familiar with my Bento areas or my Bento areas stack, it works very similar to that. And the way that works is you build out a grid using words, okay? And these words are the name of the properties. So I'm creating a 3-column grid. Okay. You can even add a little bit of spaces here if you wanted. Okay. So if we did this, right? Make it a little bit easier to visualize. I'm creating a 3-column grid here. Okay. And, oops, I don't need that dot. All right. So in the ID, I want the ID to span all 3 columns. And then in the second row, I want date time to take up 1 column and the Chris field to take up 2 columns. And then I want the member field to take up 3 columns. Now, for each row, you always have to define all columns. Okay. So yeah, you have to define all columns. If you want a column to be empty, you can go ahead and just say like dot. Okay. And then that column, that area in that will be empty. So yeah, pretty cool here. This allows us to, define our layouts, at least give it some sort of a grid. Okay. And you can create as many columns as you want. If you want to split things up into multiple columns, again, it behaves exactly like my bento areas stack. Hopefully you've played with that. If not, hopefully this kind of makes sense. It's just a very visual way of building out a layout for us. I've already got some feedback based on this. And so I probably won't get it any more features added to this layout in this update, but maybe in the future, something like some dividers or some ways of organizing into boxes or something like that. Okay. But for now, this is pretty cool. Okay. And it's much nicer than what we have. Chris needs 3 columns. Yes, he does. Now he only has 1. I toggled 1 off. Okay. Okay. So that is form layouts. Okay. I need to make sure, like, I wonder what I'm adding to get 1 password in there. That kind of drives me bonkers. I'll have to look into that. Wonder what setting if I can put anything to do that. Anyway. Okay. So another nifty little feature while we're inside schemas, okay, is I've redesigned the schema form, okay, or at least the layout of the schema properties. Okay. So down here, if you notice, we add, I should probably rename this to schema properties. I need to be good. Look, properties. It says fields here. Well, it is a form field. So, whatever. Okay. So inside here, you'll notice that this layout is now different. Okay. The version that you have right now, it had just these accordions, and the property info was up at the top, and then we had form info and then settings. After building a lot of schemas, I noticed that it just took a lot of clicks, okay, to do what we needed. Okay, so I've redesigned this so that the type of data is always at the top. The form field is right next to it. Okay. And then below that, form info is first and it's opened. Okay. So these 2 fields, which are the most critical for defining what your field is going to be, are always at the top. They're always visible. Okay. And then the form info is open by default. This is great because when you add a new field, 1, 2, 3, those are going to be the 3 kind of must-have settings. No extra clicking around or surfing for stuff. It's just 1, 2, 3 right there. Done. Okay. Now all the other settings are still the same. I actually think I made these boxes a little bit bigger. I thought they were a little short by default. Okay. So I did make those a little taller. And then property info. Okay. Like this was the info that was visible by default. And to be honest, like these are kind of the edge case settings that you're probably not going to touch very often, right? If any. So, yeah, I mean, they're good settings to have, but they're definitely not critical. Okay. So having form info up first is really nice. Okay. I think that has everything to do with schema. One thing I did, or let me look inside the collection, or let me look in here. I think I did this in here. Okay. Let's transition to, I added some new features to the list field type, okay? The list form field. So let's go into my custom collection here, okay? And we'll notice that this, if I try to select another one, I can only add one field, okay? That was actually an option before, but what's different is you can now have this field because, okay, back up. The list field normally saves data as an array, okay? Which is nice because you can add multiple items. But sometimes I really like the list interface, but I'd love to be able to save a single text item with this interface. So for example, here I have a member, and as long as I only have one, I should be able to save this one member as a text, okay, instead of an array with one item. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? So how do we do that, okay? So if we go into Schema, right, and let's look at that particular member, or let's look at that field. So here, normally when you have a list, this type of data has to be an array, okay? But I set it to be string because I wanted to save it as that member, and the form field is a list. Now, if you have this combination, you need to make sure inside the settings. Now here I'm using relational options. If you haven't seen that, that's a really powerful thing. There's actually a new feature baked into this as well, which we'll look at in a second. But here I have as string true. And what this does is it makes sure that the list item saves data as a string and not as an array. Now, I would recommend when you have as string here, you make max item count 1. That way, you're not going to have issues if you select multiple. Okay. So there we go. Now, if you looked, I said there were some new features for relational options. Let's back up and look at the collection. Let's talk about what the problem is. That was in my custom collection. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. If you look here, if you remember, these are relational options. And if you look, I have the name here of each person. Okay. Now, and these are members. If we look at my members collection, we'll see that every member has an ID, a first name, and a last name. But if you notice, we saw the full name in that drop down, right, of the list. So one feature is we can now have multiple fields in the label field now, which is really nice. Now, inside that field, I'm actually saving the ID of the member. And then the label that you see is first name, last name. There's a lot of little things going on here. Okay, a lot of little bugs that were fixed in this. Okay, so prior you could have a label. Okay, but a lot of times when you saved it and then went back into that form, you just saw the ID again. Okay, and that wasn't too useful. So now you will always see the label. Okay, which is nice. And here you can also add multiple fields. So inside this label, I have label first space last. This is the property of the first name space property of the last name. Okay. Now, and you can have as many fields as you want. And by default, you just separate them with a space. Now, if you don't want to separate them with a space, we need to do a little bit of extra work. Okay. Let's say I want to have last name, comma, first name. Okay. Oops, comma. So I have last, comma, first. In order to support that, I need to tell Total CMS that, hey, I'm using a comma delimited list here. Okay. And what you need to do is I need to do a join. I think it's join off the top of my head. I need to do a join colon, and then inside here, I need to do comma space. Okay. Because you have to tell exactly what you are joining it with. Okay. So it's a comma and a space. So I'm telling it that I'm using a comma and space. And basically anything around a comma space is going to be the name of a field. Okay, so that's how that works. Let's go ahead and save that. Hopefully that join was the actual thing. I forget what the setting was, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Let's go back into my custom collection. And yeah, it worked. Okay, so now I have last name, comma, first name. And if you notice, the label was dynamically updated. Before it said first, last, but because I updated the schema, the labels were automatically updated, right? And if I go into the dropdown, they were all automatically updated here as well. And of course, they're sorted alphabetically as well, which is really, really nice. And one of the benefits of this list stack is you can, go ahead and, start typing and searching for things, right? So start typing and then it filters the list down for you automatically and click. Nice. Okay. So yeah, major upgrades. That was actually a lot of, I know it might seem like a simple, that was a lot of work, especially actually getting this label to auto to make sure that's always there. That was quite tricky. Okay. Let me see if I see anything inside of the chat. Does this feature also work with the standard version, or will I have to use the pro version for this? I'm sorry, I missed when your question was. Yeah, Matthias, sorry, I missed that. I think you're talking about, I assume you're talking about the form layout thing. I'm going to build in common layouts for it. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to think about that, okay? Okay. I have to go to my list now. Okay. I've kind of gone off on little tangents here and there. And I think there was actually some more. Oh, in schemas. Okay. Let's say you're in blog and you wanna create a custom collection, but you want to create it based on the blog. Like you want to start with blog and then maybe tweak it. Okay. Before that was almost impossible, right? I mean, you'd have to manually replicate everything, which was kind of annoying. Okay. But now what you can do is when you're looking at a schema that you want to duplicate, go ahead and click on this and you can duplicate the schema. So once I click on duplicate, what that will do is that will take all the form schema, add it to a new schema form, and that allows you to assign it a new ID. So at this point, I can say new blog, okay? And I can call this schema new blog, and then I can make any tweaks or changes or add new fields that I want. And I can hit save. And now I have a new blog schema, okay? Pretty cool, okay? All right. I think that was everything for schemas. All right. And then now I'm going to have to dive into my list. Okay. All right. Some stuff that you can't see. Just a lot of work on security enhancements. I got some security analysis tools. I analyzed Total CMS. And I plugged every possible nook and cranny of security hole that those tools found. Okay. All kinds of stuff, cross-site scripting. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you should feel good. Okay. A lot of work went into that. Okay. Twig enhancements. Okay. Let's, before we dive into these, we're going to, it's one of these in the list. Okay, we're going to go down to this last item. Okay, and we're going to go into here, and we're going to go into the Twig playground. And this is a hidden gem of Total CMS 3, I think. Okay, I think it is an amazing little tool, especially now. Because, you'll notice we have some nice syntax highlighting of our Twig, which is pretty awesome. And if you click render, okay, let's do a little bit of some different. think it was this one. All right. I'm going to click render in here. Okay. And what you'll notice is when you render, it shows the rendered content as well as the generated HTML, which is pretty cool. Okay. And up here, you'll notice that we have nice syntax highlighting of our Markdown. And yeah, pretty cool. Of our Twig. I let out the next feature, okay, which is kind of why I wanted to choose this particular snippet, is Markdown now works with Twig. Okay, so if you have Markdown, it'll process that Markdown. So like here, it just says, hello world with a hashtag, which as you probably know is an H1. All you have to do is pipe Markdown, and that pipes it out to an H1, and it generates the HTML for you. Here's an example of how we, do a table. Okay, so we are applying Markdown to this content. Okay, so you can have Markdown as a part of your content now, which is nice. And then it will dynamically save it and generate the HTML for you, okay, using Twig. Now, this does use the parse down Markdown engine, which is one of the more powerful ones out there. It supports GitHub flavored Markdown. We're not going to dive into all that right now, but yeah, GitHub flavored Markdown now exists, and it's probably the most popular version of Markdown, the syntax wise, and has the most features, which is nice. Okay, so there we go. Twig Playground, syntax highlighting up here, rendering the HTML, and then rendering the raw code that actually gets generated as well. Now, before, what was kind of interesting is, if you were playing around with Twig and you're like, oh, how do I do this? One thing that's powerful about the playground is that you can not only play with Twig, but you can actually use Twig with your live data in your CMS. What do I mean by that? So let's go ahead and let's go into the docs. Okay, and let's go into the docs got a nice little revamp. So there's all kinds of new documentation now. Still not finalized, but there's a lot here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do like CMS. Yeah, we'll do CMS text. Okay, let's just get let's look at my collection. Let's look at my text collection. And here we have Davide's here. Okay, so we're gonna get that and display that. Okay, let's go ahead and we're gonna go back into the Twig Playground. Just gonna erase that, and then we're gonna do cms.text. Okay, Davide, and that will get us the text with the ID of Davide. Voila, there we go. All right, so you can actually, and we can manipulate this, right? We could do like was it upper, I think it is, right? There we go, right? So we can do all kinds of Twig, and if we wanted to put this inside of a H6 tag for some reason, I don't know. Okay, render, there we go. It's now an H6. Okay, so really cool stuff that you can access and start playing around. This is a really great way to learn and up your Twig game with your actual data. Now, something that's really cool that I overlooked, right, is you remember earlier how I went back to the docs and then I came back to the Twig Playground and everything was back? Well, that's a new feature as well. Before, if I did what I just did, like everything that I typed here would be gone. Okay, so now there is memory built in. So whatever is here, it saves it so that when you leave and come back, you're right back where you left off. Okay, eventually I want to add maybe the ability to save snippets and stuff like that. Okay, but for right now, that's a huge win where it will actually, not lose your work, which is really important. Okay. Let's see if barcode. So there is another new Twig extension. Okay. And if we go into the docs, we can go into barcodes. And there's now the ability to generate barcodes. right, which is pretty nice. And I'll admit it's not 100% quite yet, but let's go ahead and I'm going to do this one right here. Yeah, there's all kinds of different barcodes. The sizing is a little funky right now. That's one thing I need to kind of work on and make a little bit better, but it works. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to do that, and we're going to say render. Okay, and let's do width 100. There we go. Okay, so yeah, the width and height, I need to have better defaults if you don't supply a width and height, but kind of that's the only tweak that we kind of need right now is the ability to just you have to define a width and a height of it to kind of give you some sort of aspect ratio. Okay, so there we go. That created a barcode. So I mean, what you could do is if this particular data was saved within a product, right, you can reference that and automatically build a barcode based on the product ID stored inside your CMS. Nuts balls. Pretty cool, right? And if you didn't know, there's already a QR code generator as well. So if we go into the docs, just so you can see, we won't play with it right now, but QR codes, there's all kinds of QR codes you can do as well. So if you want to create a QR code for your Wi-Fi network or whatever, okay, you can easily do that. There's some new, as I said, I'm not going to go over the SVG stuff today. There's some new SVG and also some phone number formatting. If you look inside, where's filters? So I've updated this to make the docs a little bit better. Okay, so you can get a lot more examples of all this. Before, this was just a list of functions. And so, yeah, now we have kind of a list with a lot of examples here. Okay, one thing, after I built that formatting thing inside the playground, it would be amazing if these also had the syntax highlighting. So that's something I'll try to work on in the future for the docs. I think it would really make the docs page pop a lot more. Okay, but if we look at, let's see, where's the phone number? There. So you can do, there's a digits only function now, and then there's a format phone number where you can give it a country code, and it'll intelligently format that phone number for that particular region, okay, or country, which is nice. Oh, and here's, not sure why this is with the phone number, but this is the SVG stuff that we did, probably because I implemented them very similar. Okay. Let's see. Better form. Form saving works better now, right? So as you saw before, or if you've been using it now, you'll notice when you saved a form, half the time, or maybe probably more than half the time, you get an error pop up, even though it was successful. That should be gone. Okay. So yeah. There were some race conditions there that, yeah. Anyway, let's see. We talked about the enhanced lists. There's better ID generation now. This ID here, let's go ahead and we'll go back. If I create a new post, just so you guys can see, we'll do hello dash, we'll do Joe's new blog post. Okay. And what you'll notice is, before some of these characters would actually leak their way into the ID, apostrophes or single quotes would, exclamation points would, and then also we have the ability to do accented characters, right? Okay, so if we look there, these accented characters were automatically translated into their Latin equivalents for the ID field. Pretty nice. Okay. Let's see. If you haven't played with the imports, there's a lot of really cool stuff with imports going on. Okay. I don't think I added anything new to the import page itself. Okay. This is pretty much the same. Oh, I did fix these tables weren't auto loading as the import was going on. That's been fixed. Okay. But if we go into the job queue now, okay, so if we go into here and we go into the job queue manager, what we'll notice is that these tables auto refresh. Okay. And there's now a little report down here of all the pending jobs. And if there are any failed jobs, it'll have a table of the failed job and why that job failed. Okay. And then failed jobs, it'll try to reprocess it 3 times before it just nukes the job totally. Okay. So failed jobs will not stay in there forever. They will only, you get 3 tries of failed jobs and they're nuked. Okay. So you can look in here and figure out why a particular job failed, and maybe if you can update it or do whatever. And if you want to, you can just click this button and clear the queue completely. Okay, which is nice. All right, I think that's it for this list. There's a lot more that I've done that isn't even on that list that I've showed you, guys. Okay, we're gonna look at some of that now. Server checker. This kind of shows the configuration of your server. And there's a new section down here for optional software. And I did a lot of work this week on caching and performance. Okay. And yeah, so if you have, I recommend strongly that you use this OP cache. Okay. It will drastically improve performance. If you can, Memcache or Redis. You don't need both of these. Redis. If both are enabled, like I have here, Redis will be used. They're very similar technologies. Okay. But I wanted to support both because some hosts will support one and not the other. So yeah. What's cached? What are these things? And ImageMagick, if you don't have that, that is that will make processing of images and creating resizes of images a lot faster. So I definitely strongly urge that you do ImageMagick and OP cache or op cache. It will really help out with performance. ImageMagick, like I said earlier, it's for processing of images, making that a little bit faster. Op cache, this will drastically improve the performance of processing Twig. Okay. A lot faster. Okay. You might have a little bit of issues with caching. Let me know if like earlier in this thing where I saved the settings and I had to clear the cache. Let me know if you hit the ability to, if you hit a snag where you think the cache should automatically be cleared for that particular action, let me know. And then I will make sure that, hey, for example, when I save those settings today, I'll probably go in and after the settings, whenever the settings are changed, I will then just clear the cache automatically. So there are going to be some actions that we perform that we want to make sure we automatically clear cache on. Let me know if you hit any of those things. Okay. Right now, if you update like any object or anything like that, the cache will be cleared automatically. So all that stuff will work, but there could be edge cases. So let me know if you have op cache enabled and you feel that there are some scenarios that could be improved with automatically clearing of cache. So yeah, op cache, huge performance gains on Twig, like literally 2 to 5x. Okay, so really, really big. The next, Memcache and Redis, these are going to be caching for making certain operations faster. Okay. And what I mean by that is, here, let me go back just to me. So you guys, as you probably know, Total CMS 3 does not have a database. Okay. Everything in Total CMS is saved as flat files on your server. However, whenever we're, let's say, querying for a collection, okay, or querying for an object or displaying a gallery, okay, those files need to be opened, read in, and then the data needs to be processed. Now, that happens pretty quickly. However, what Memcache and Redis will do for us is it will make, it'll cache those responses for a certain period of time. It's times that I've defined, and that various actions have various times, okay? such as fetching a collection can be cached for an hour before it's refetched. However, there's again things where if you update a collection, then the cache will be cleared automatically. Okay, but so Redis and Memcache will basically make it so we don't need to open the file to read the data because we've already done that and it's stored in the cache. So it's like basically it's kind of like reading data from the disk versus having it already in memory, right? That's kind of what it's like. So definitely nice performance gains. Especially if you have if you have a cheaper host, they probably won't have Redis or Memcache, but it's kind of like on your Mac. Some things are faster in memory, but we also have very fast disks now, SSDs. So you might get a little bit of performance gains from Redis and Memcache, but not as much as the op cache. Okay. So anyway, okay, let's go back to the that was enough about caching. So that's in the server checker, okay? But now if we go to the cache clearer, there's a cache cleaner, okay? If you notice, this page has really gotten a lot of work. Down here is the clear content cache. This is where you can manually clear the cache. And if you had, it'll actually tell you, this is my dev server, so I actually have Redis and those other ones disabled, okay? Yeah, it'll actually tell you the amount of space used in that, and you can clear it. And so there's a nice little report about all the caching systems here. And if you look up here, this is something completely new. This is a little report that will show you all of the image cache for every collection. As you know, Total CMS can create versions of images on the fly. Now, let's say you've created tons of versions of images that you potentially no longer need because you were just playing around and you might not need all that. And maybe it's eating up space on your server, right? So you can see all the collections that contain images, how many there are, how much space they're taking. And if you want, you can go ahead and say, oh, with blog, select your collection and just say clear collection image cache. Okay. And now it's deleted all the image cache for every image inside of blog. Pretty cool, right? But now if I just go back here, let's go into blog. Now, when I click on this, it's going to load that collection view. All those images just got created on the fly because I deleted the cache, right? So now all those images are created again. I click next, all those are created. I'm going to click next, all those were created. Now, if we go back into the cache cleaner, we'll see that blog has images again. Okay. And the reason is because, well, we just recreated them. Now, those were really tiny ones, so they're very small. Okay. Not taking up a lot of space, but there you go. So yeah, I just finished this morning. I spent a lot of hours on the cache stuff too. So I was up till very late working on that last night. Pretty cool. Okay, next up, I'll show you the ability. So this is something I'm working on. I was working on it this morning. Okay, it's not done. There's something. It's going to be the last big feature for this, and it's called the image batcher. Okay, again, this doesn't work yet, but you'll get a concept of what it is. So what does this do? Pretend, let's say, for example, I cleared all these blog cache, right? And as you know, Total CMS can create a ton of images on the fly. But let's say you have a gallery that has 1,000 images in it, and or a blog that you wanted to change the image size on every image in the blog. You want to make sure that all the images are created now. Like, you don't want to have to go to visit the web page to create the versions of the images. You want to batch create those images now. Okay. So what you can do is, you'll say, let's say for a blog. So you create, I want to do this for a blog. So I want to do this in my blog. I click next. Then it's going to show us all of the properties that support images. Okay. So I'm going to do the image property. I'm going to click next. And then what I'm going to be able to do here is I could define this format. This form needs a little bit of layout work. Okay. But This is the similar form to, the ImageWorks form where you can preview the image and create images on the fly, right? This is the same thing where I can create an image at 600 pixels wide by, 500 height. And then, you can add watermarks and all that jazz. Okay. Let's say I wanted to create a watermark at 600 pixels. And you can also use your presets if you want as well. And let's go ahead and just say start batch processing. Okay. Now this is where I'm at. This is broken. But at this point, let's say what this would do now is it would actually start chugging through all of the images in my blog and generating all of those new versions right now. Pretty cool stuff. Okay. So yeah, something I've wanted to do for a while. I think it's a pretty solid workflow that I like. Obviously some layout issues there that will get fixed. But yeah, pretty cool. I like the image batcher. I think it's going to be a really awesome tool for us. Okay. Let me look at my work log here and see if there's anything else ginormous. Oh, there is something ginormous. All right. Let's go to project setup. So in project setup, if you notice before, there was just this one button where you can set up your default collections. So like if you were setting up a completely brand new total CMS instance, you can click on this and it would generate a lot of these default collections for you. But if you notice now, it will automatically detect if you have total CMS1 data. So if it detects that you have total CMS1 data on your server, this will be displayed. And you'll be able to, easily, here, let's go ahead and, give me a second. I will completely revamp my, 1 second here. All right. Okay. So now here, I have no collections, right? I have absolutely no collections in here. Now, if I go to project setup, it noticed that I have total CMS data. So let's just go ahead and say import total CMS data. Now, because you could potentially have a lot of total CMS data, it adds all of those jobs to the queue. Okay, so let's go into our queue manager here. And we'll see that it has 26 pending jobs. There were actually 13 there before. Now, if you don't know this, this is something that I recommend you create a scheduled job on your host. And this is the command you're going to run. I'm just going to copy this and run this on my local machine. Give me a second. Okay. All right. I'm running that job, and we should actually watch. These tables are changing live. Okay. So as that ran, boom. So 13 got imported. 13 failed. That's because there were actually duplicates of everything. So now if we go into our collection, we'll see that I have collections, and this contains all of my total CMS1 data. Right? There's not a lot. I just have, a little bit. So I have 2 blog posts. I have my feed. I have my images. I have a gallery, right? I have my files. I have depots. Okay. So all my total CMS1 data gets merged into total CMS3, and it's ready for me to use with all of my total CMS3 stuff. Pretty cool, right? Really excited about that. This was a process. I really like how it turned out. I think it's really awesome. Okay, let me look at my log again. A minor thing, but maybe it's not so minor. But inside of here, okay. So this is similar that form that we saw earlier. Is going to kind of look a little bit like this. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to have a preview image on that particular page. I'm going to try. Okay. But one thing that is new is in format for images, you can now choose AVIF. That wasn't a format available before. Oh, well, it was available, but I removed it because there were issues. I fixed those issues, and now we can export to AVIF as well. So we have pretty much all the most modern web images here: WebP, AVIF, progressive JPEG. Yeah, all those image formats are now available here. Actually, I'd say I've been playing around with progressive JPEG. It's not a new format. It's actually been around for a long time. I like it. I think it's a pretty nice format, actually, and it has the compatibility is 100% across all browsers, even old ones. So progressive JPEG is pretty cool. Check it out. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, guys. I might have missed a few little small things, which I'll have full release notes. I'll dig through my work log and make sure we have all kinds of release notes for when I ship this. I hope to ship it. Well, I really have to. I have to ship it today. I really want to. So, yeah. If I don't get that batch processor done today, it'll ship without that, or else it'll ship in a semi not working state, but I'm pretty sure I'll have it done within an hour or two. Okay. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Let me look at the chat, see if there's any more questions here. Okay, how about being able to paste the image macro into the batch processor so that you know it matches what is it? So I thought about that. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. So actually, I thought about that, like literally as I was preparing for this live stream. Okay, is basically copying this macro, creating a version of the image here, copying the macro, and then instead of trying to, and then inside this form. Inside image batcher. Well, let's just do it in here. What do we want? Select a collection. Oh, it's all different. So click next. Oh, look at that. All right. Schema type does not exist in my blog. Oh, oops. I'll have to fix that. Let's do images next. Property image next. All right. And so instead of filling out this form, like it would just be boom. Like you'd paste in that macro, right? You would paste in that. Oh, that's a whatever. You'd paste in that macro, and then based on that macro, it would automatically build everything based on that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I like the simplicity of that. It kind of makes it so that you can, you just have your macro and boom, done. You don't have to rebuild this whole thing all over again, right? You already have your macro. Like, why do I have to go through the form to build everything out? It's valid. It's a good idea. I'll think about it. We'll see. I kind of like the simplicity of it because building out this form is, as you see, it's a pretty big form, and it makes it quite complex. So simple is better, right? So that isn't a horrible idea. I'll play around with that idea. Okay. Thank you. All right, I think we're done, guys. That was you know what? I did that in an hour because I had a little bit of technical issues beforehand too. I swore we were going to be here for a couple hours, like, because I did breeze through a lot of stuff really quickly. So hopefully, the fire hose of information didn't blow you guys back too much. But hopefully you're going to like this update. I think it's going to be a really amazing one. A lot of work's gone into it. The performance, I'm really happy with the performance. I can't wait to see some of the websites out there with it, especially if you enable some of those other caching options. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be really cool. Cool. Hopefully, we'll see you guys on Friday at the Hangout, where hopefully some of you guys will already have this installed and have some feedback for me by then. I'm sure you'll have feedback for me before then. Definitely shipping this tonight. So keep on the lookout on that. And take care, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week.